Yes.
Kansas has a lot of great deer hunting opportunities. The varied habitat types in many areas offer great bottlenecks and travel corridors for seeing a lot of critters. Bucks can also express a lot of their antler potential due to the amount of groceries, because there's a lot of production agriculture and lots of quality native browse. This is especially true in western Kansas, where there's a lot of sunlight hitting the ground and it's open country. In fact, it could even seem barren. However, this habitat type can be extremely productive and hold a lot of quality critters. Team member Micajah Goins lives in central Kansas and has tagged some great deer on the properties he hunts there. This past fall, Micajah was once again chasing some good bucks. Unfortunately, he hadn't tagged one when December rolled around, still had that buck tag in his pocket, so he decided to roll west with his brother and cousin and hunt western Kansas for mule deer. Even though it was muzzleloader season, Micajah wanted to spot and stalk with his prime, so he was excited when they arrived in western Kansas, got boots on the ground, and started glassing. The guys started hunting near coulees or small drainage areas that were next to production ag fields. Their goal or hunting strategy was to glass and spot a deer that was transitioning between these coulees and the ag fields. Once they spotted a buck they wished to go after, they'd plan their approach. This was very effective and they saw a lot of deer. Even though they were seeing deer, they never saw a buck they wished to pursue. One day while glassing, they spotted a couple deer getting a drink of water out of a livestock tank. We often talk about limited resources and the resources critters need to survive: quality food, secure cover, and water. Across much of the eastern portion of the United States, water is rarely a limited resource. There's seeps, there's holes of water, we get a lot of rain. Unless there's a localized drought, water's typically not a limited resource. However, in western Kansas, water can be a limited resource. And if you can find that limited resource, water, you could see a lot of critters. Keep in mind, limited resources could change quickly. Rainstorm could move through and there could be water in other places. Or maybe you've been hunting that oak that's been just dropping acorns and it's that first tree that's dropping acorns. Big windstorm moves through, knocks a bunch of acorns on the ground. Now there's acorns everywhere. Your hunting strategies need to be flexible based on the most recent information, MRI.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Reconics, Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Hunt Stand, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
Even though he's putting time in behind the Burris Optics, Micajah hadn't found a buck that he wished to pursue. So one afternoon, he talked to a local farmer, got some MRI, most recent information, and learned that there was a buck that had been pretty active around this farmer's property.
The farmer has been seeing a buck back here kind of behind his feedlot. We didn't have much luck where we were going this morning. We saw a lot of does and a couple small bucks. We're gonna go see if we can't find this buck, maybe get close enough for a shot. He's been hanging out just back here in these cedars, so let's go see what we can find.
After spending time slowly stalking through a stand of cedars looking for a bedded buck, Micajah finally came to the edge and spotted a nice buck bedded across a cut cornfield next to an old fence.
We've spotted this buck. Looks like a pretty good buck. And we just got up here. We had to hurry, get in position. And the wind's pretty good for us. Not perfect, but it's pretty good. So now we're gonna make our way around. He's up against the fence. He's got some brush behind him, so as long as we're quiet and the wind stays consistent, we should be able to get close enough.
Deer often like to bed next to features like old fences or berms or a bluff or even highways. They use these features as a type of protection.
I got 202. I've got a tumbleweed.
Fortunately, Micajah was on the north end of the field and the wind was from the south. So he was able to swing wide, go kind of to the northwest, and then swing back in and come right in on the buck with his scent blowing to the north. Strong winds are pretty typical in western Kansas because there's nothing to slow it down. And that strong wind would also help mask or hide any sound Micajah made as he crept close to that buck. As Micajah stalked closer to that buck, the buck got up and started to feed. Using terrain features or brush to stalk closer to a critter and not be seen is an important part of stalking. Fortunately, that berm that buck had been bedded against was a great terrain feature. As that buck fed, his head was below that berm, blocking Micajah from his view. So Micajah was able to creep a little closer each time that buck put his head down to feed. Finally, Micajah had crept in to about 50 yards.
Yes.
The mega meat broadhead zipped through both lungs, and that buck was down within moments.
He's still right over here, so we're gonna go get him and see what we got. He's a bigger buck than we thought he was, for sure. Didn't go far. It's one of the better bucks we've seen out here in the several years we've been hunting. We got a tip from the landowner that this buck had been showing up back here, honestly, pretty close to the barnyard, and the day after we got done hunting up in the field on the other side of the property, we decided to come look for him, and it didn't take long, and we spotted him up here on this fence. So we got around him, had the wind in our favor. We were getting pretty close, and all of a sudden he stood up, and we kind of had to wait to see what he'd do. Finally, he gave us the opportunity with the bow, and was able to make a good 50-yard shot. Just a really, really cool buck. I couldn't be more happy. That is a really, really nice deer.
Congratulations, Micajah. That was an incredible spot and stock hunt on a great mule deer buck. Micajah's hunting strategies of hunting transition zones between food and cover, overlooking limited resources like that water, it resulted in seeing a lot of critters during his hunt. Another great lesson is the importance of MRI, most recent information. After talking to that local farmer and learning his observations about the current deer movement in the area, Micajah was able to find and successfully stalk a great buck. The spot and stalk technique is a thrilling hunting method, and it can be used on a variety of critters. In fact, here in a few weeks, Grant and I have several hog hunts planned where we'll be using the spot and stalk technique. Hopefully, we'll be sharing those strategies and hunts with you soon. Whether you're planning your next hunt or maybe you're starting to look for those first sheds, I hope you get outside this week and enjoy creation. But more importantly, slow down, listen to what the Creator is saying to you and the purpose He has for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.